The method that we show in most of our jewel box patterns works, but over the years I've found some tricks to make sewing a pentagon easier and faster, and I'd like to share those with you. To make a pentagon, you need 5 triangles. You can cut them with the Gem 5 tool from the full-size set, or smaller ones using the Gem Junior tool. To cut Gem 5 pieces, we'll place our tool onto our fabric and cut around it, like this. Now my first tip is to mark only 1 dot per pentagon. I usually choose the triangle with the lightest backside because it's easier to see the marking on it. And this one is the lightest on the back. So I place my Gem 5 tool onto it, making sure everything is aligned. I use a mechanical pencil, place that right in the little hole that's at the top, and I twist it a little bit to make sure I get a nice clean mark right here. That mark is 1/4 inch from here to here, from here to here, and from here to the top. Now let's look at the pieces of the pentagon that we'll be making today. So this is the one with the mark. It's the one I start with, and I'm going to pick these up in a clockwise direction. So this gets sewn to this, to this, to this, to this. And now we'll go to the sewing machine. This is the piece right here that has the mark on it. I'll call it number 1. We're going to add pieces in a clockwise direction if you're looking at the front. So I take this one and put it on top of this one. So 1 goes on 2. The one we add always goes on the bottom. When I put these 2 together, I make sure that the ends match and the tops match. I'll push these out of the way. Now I'm going to put this under my presser foot so that I know that that needle will go right into the dot. That may take a little rearranging to get it that way, but I'll set my needle and it went right into the dot. If it hadn't, I would raise the needle, pull it out, and do it again. I set my stitch length to 1.1, very short stitches. I do this for about the first 1/2 inch. This locks my stitch without having to back stitch or knot it. The built-in knotting feature or back stitching will leave a lump in the center, and we want to reduce that as much as possible. After we get about 1/2 inch, we'll go to regular stitch length of about 2 and stitch that on out. I cut my threads, and I'll also cut them here. What I need is to be able to see exactly where I started stitching, because that's where I'm going to put my needle the next time. So let's put our pentagon together again. So we've sewed 1 to 2, and now we're ready to sew it to 3. When I do this, I'm going to put the right sides together, always putting the side that's sewn on top and the new one underneath. And again, I make sure that it matches here and here. The other thing, when I bring it into under the presser foot, I go up and around, kind of in a sweeping motion, and that assures me that I won't push those seam allowances in the wrong direction. Okay, I get it just where I need it and set my needle, making sure that it goes right in the hole that it did before. My stitch length is very short, a 1.1. Stitch about 1/2 inch. Now regular stitch length of 2. Cut my thread, trim it here and here. Now I've got 3 of these sewn together. Again, let's put it back together. 1, 2, 3, and the next one is the green. It's number 4, and this will be number 5. So I'm going to turn it around and put the sewn side on top and the new one on the bottom. Make sure that it matches right here and right here. And again, we're going to sweep that around and back. All the seam allowances go to the back. Adjust it just as necessary. Okay, set my needle, short stitches, 1/2 inch, now up to a 2, stitch on out, cut my thread, and cut the threads here. Okay, now I have 4 pieces, and I have my last one to add. And again, the sewn piece will be on the top, and the new one will be on the bottom. I'll make sure that the tip of this and the tip of this match, and that the tips match down here. Okay, and again, sweep in and out. See how that piece is there? Make sure that opens up like that. See? And you're going to bring it in and around like this. Go right to where this previous stitching was. Looks about right. Let me set my needle. Yep, right to where you needed it to be. Short stitches for 1/2 inch. Regular length. Okay, now we can see where our thread stops. Here's our pentagon. All we have left is that last seam. Now, we're going to sweep those seam allowances up. If they just seem to want to bounce back, sometimes some of the stiffer fabrics fight it. You can put a pin there. Okay, I like to take that one and pull it up, sweep around like this, make sure everything's lined up, set your needle, and short stitches, regular length, trim this and trim this, and there we have our pentagon. You see? Pretty good. Now here's our pentagon sewn together, and you can see that your seam allowances are just sticking up like this, and we're going to press them in this direction. We're pressing counterclockwise. We're going to press the seam allowances like this, one by one. Just now we're going to turn it over and make sure that there's no tucks. Be careful not to stretch it. Now it still kind of molds up, as you can see. So now we're going to take care of the center. I get my fingers in here, get those, and I'm going to twist it. When it looks just right, I will set that center with my iron. Now let's look at it. Nice and flat. I hope you've liked this tips and tricks video. If you'd like to see more of my tips and tricks, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the like button. If there's something you'd like to see, just let us know in the comments below. Thank you, and God bless.